Welcome back to Fuzz Lab. Never gets old, never gets old, never gets old, never. Today's episode is going to be a little different. A lot of the past videos I've done have been music-related stuff. I built a bunch of medium-sized battery-powered amps, and then I took like a year off, and I built a bunch of pedals in that time, so there's going to be those videos coming up. Now, the title of this series is Hacking for Fun with Petey. And I was thinking the other day, you know, if I just keep doing music stuff, it's really going to narrow down the percentage of people who are actually going to click on one of these things, and then you figure who's going to actually want to sit through one of them. And then if you narrow that down to like the musicians and then guitar players, we're like really whittling this down to a... So today's episode is a hack on a toy. And I believe this is really an improvement of this product. Now, I got this thing at Goodwill, of all places. Surprise, Petey's cheap. Now, I paid $3 for this. No, wait a minute. I paid $1 for this. It was 99 cents. I'm so used to saying I paid $3 for this thing. Anyway, I guess I should go back and start at the beginning. Then I can hear the clicks echoing out into the night. Here he goes again, 45 minutes. So I was in like 4th grade, and I was going to a public school at the time. Yes. And they had these little pamphlets that you'd get like quarterly. And they were selling books, calendars, and like pencil case in the back. Now, keep in mind, I had been set back several times. So my pamphlet had like 1, 2, 3 ABCs, The Very Hungry Worm, Clifford the Big Red Placenta. So anyway, I'm looking at this thing, and there's a picture. They got a big announcement for a movie. They've never had that, so I'm looking at this. It's this picture. Star Wars. Now, this was a long time before the movie was released. I guess they were trying to, you know, hyper-saturate the market, you know, subliminal, buy, you know, ice cube trays coming. So I'm looking at this picture, and it's Han, Chewie, Leia, Luke, C-3PO, and R2. And it's right after they got out of the trash compactor, and they're running back to the Falcon. And I'm thinking, you know, a couple of them have their sidearms drawn. They're running with their lasers out. And I'm thinking, what's wrong with these people? Shoot that Bigfoot-looking thing, waste that golden guy, and then just kick that demonic little robot out of there. Get him out of there. And, you know, I had no concept that it was like, you know, the humans worked, the robots were not, they were good, and then, like, there would have been, like, an alien thing that was our helper. Like, I had no concept. So, as we all know, you know, how huge the franchise was. I remember really loving the movie when it came out, and everyone cheering when the Death Star blew up. Porkins, he did it! And then Empire came out, and it was like, you know, I knew that the Empire was going to strike back, but I didn't know how hard the Empire was going to strike back. I mean, it was pretty heavy. It was like they got their butts kicked, and then, you know, Luke gets his hand chopped off, and then, you know, I'm your father, and he falls down the tube, and it was like Lando came in, he's like, what up? And then he sold him out to Boba Fett, and then like the Carbonite Han Solo, with that lip, And so it was it wasn't like the end of the first one where it was all ba-ba, and they gave, the medals, and then, well, Chewbacca didn't get a medal, but he got the last line, he did that thing that he does at the very end. So then it was like, it was heavy for like little kids. It was like, wow, I'm scared, mommy, Darth Vader, It's gonna get me. And so then the next one was that Return of the Jedi. They had those little, like, if you took the robes off the Jawas, like those guys, and they were like, like dancing around with little spears, and then like C-3PO started rapping at some point, and it was like 15 years goes by, and I guess Lucas got divorced, and he's like, I'm gonna do it again. And he had that little Bratican kid who's like, you steal. And then get in your pod, you know, pew, 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 in that pod for like 40 minutes, like, eh. And then it was like, there was a big, like, parliament, and there was a fish guy, like, the embargo is good, for like an hour. And then it was like that Darth Maul came in, and he's like, you know, Darth Vader, he didn't talk, but he's like, I'm good. Darth Vader isn't scary anymore. And then they had that, you know, young Padawan, I have a ponytail and you do not. You know, I'm the king. And it was just, I know that the movies, that they're the best movies and the best, and everyone loves them. But to me, there's one Star Wars movie, Star Wars. Empire was good. But, you know, basically, as soon as they had that Christmas special, and you remember what I'm talking about? Art Carney was in it. As soon as they put the virtual reality on that old Grandpa Wookiee, and I think it was like Grace Jones did some kind of like an erotic dance, that's when there should have been a terrorist plot or an assassination. It's something. They needed to end it. Take them out. It's done. Okay? No more Star Wars after that Christmas special. And if you haven't seen it, you gotta watch it. It's so unbelievably bad. You won't. Trust me, Star Wars Christmas special, it's like 1979, 1980 or something. Really, really horrible. Unbelievably, unfathomably bad. And now, if you're, you know, I'm sure you know, Disney Corporation has purchased the Star Wars franchise.
R2, put that down. Cigarettes are dangerous. No, smoking isn't grown up. It's very foolish.
And I know they have this, I looked at it the other day, we were talking about the explosion at the end of my intro, and my daughter said she'd seen it before, and I was telling her about how Lucas added the ring and the remake with the digital, and they had, you know, Jabba shows up by the Falcon, like, how did he, like, all of that, you know, they didn't need to do any of that. And we're going on and on about this explosion, and so we start watching YouTube videos about Star Wars, and I ran into this thing. It's called Star Tours, and they have it in Orlando, and it started in France, which should kind of give you the first red flag pops up. France Disney. And this thing is called Wrap Off in Space or something, Hyperspace Jigaboo or something. It's so unbelievably bad. This fat guy comes out, I'm Snig, and then a fat broad, I'm Oopla. And they're wheeling them out one after another, Star Wars. Some of them aren't Star Wars guys. This one guy looks like DV from Tim and Eric's Crimbus special. Like, what's he doing out here? It's not Crimbus. And there's like the guy with those snakes coming out of his head. And Oopla's like, he never comes out. And it's like, that's because he was only in 6 frames of the movie. You know, it was a marketing, it was just action figure that they made hundreds of thousands of dollars on out of 6 frames. You know, and this thing, you'll have to watch it. I'll link it. I'll put up a link. It's an abomination. It's just, I mean, Darth Vader is moonwalking in it. And it's just, it's worse than the Star Wars Christmas special. It really is. They just shit all over my childhood when I saw this. And it keeps getting worse. It's like 23 minutes long, too.
Welcome to the stage, Stig and Ooh!
Here we go. You think you are so tough. I'm shuffling.
So this is kind of a taste of things to come, and I just wanted to kind of do my Star Wars rant because we were talking about it the other day, and I had watched these videos, and then I'm like, I got to get out of here. And so we took off, me and the old lady. On Fridays, a lot of time I'll go out with her. We'll do a little grocery shop and hit a couple of dumpsters behind Aldi's, get some food for the weekend, and then we'll hit, a couple of Salvation Armies and a Goodwill. And I was in Goodwill, and I couldn't believe it. They had this guy in here. They had an R2, 99 cents. Now, this isn't what it looked like. In tradition with completely just shitting on your childhood and this fantastic legacy that was created. This product is from Star Tours. I don't know if you can read that. Star Tours. There it is. And I believe this was designed in France. What it is, it's an R2, and you push the button, and he had 3 of these, whatever they are, proboscis, coming out of his head with LEDs in them. And it spins around, the whole thing vibrates all over the place, and the LEDs light up. Like, all right, I know your kid's got ADD. I know he's on so much Ritalin, which is basically like smoking freebase or crack. Like if you're old school and you're a little older now and you don't like smoke crack anymore, but these pills they give to kids, that's what it does to you. It's like an 8-ball, taking one of these pills. Like, go to school, Jimmy, but don't forget your 8-ball. Smoke a couple crack rocks first. And like I was saying, I don't care how flipped out your kid is. R2D2 is good enough on his own to not have to have his head spin around and a bunch of freaking lights flashing in your face. This is good enough how it is. It doesn't need anything else. So anyway, I get the thing home, put batteries in it. Of course, it doesn't work. 99 cents. Because I'm sure every employee I had their turn with it. Before putting the 99 cent sticker on it. So I open it up, and there's, sure enough, because of the vibration from the motor, because it's not very well balanced, if you can imagine that design. One of the connectors from the power connector had come off, and it just snapped right off. It was really an unusual design. They had a diode for reverse polarity protection with a resistor and capacitor hooked up to that motor. So I yanked the motor out, and there was a PCB with a black blob sound chip in it, and then the LED assembly has its own board for blinking. And so I tested everything. I removed this circuitry, the reverse polarity diode. I was trying to run it at 3 volts because I didn't want to slam it with 5 after this. I'm sure this cuts a couple volts out. There's a resistor. I didn't even measure the resistor, so I was cautious. But it turns out the whole circuit runs fine off 4.5, 5 volts. And so what I ended up doing was tried a bunch of different speaker elements. I got a bunch of mini speakers I hacked out of stuff. So I cut in a larger speaker that had a little bit better timbre on it. And then in the head, where those LEDs were what you do, you take a razor blade and you slice it this way, and then you cut this Star Tour logo off of here, and you can get in there with the knife and remove this entire thing, because they wouldn't pull off. I don't know what kind of cement. You know, obviously all the kids are so jacked up on their crack cocaine pills, they can probably rip this thing off with their teeth and eat it as a snack and still shit out something brown. But I had a hard time removing that. You have to cut it off with a blade, and then you'll end up with 6 LEDs, which I ran around. There's these ports that R2D2 has here, those little camera looking ports, and you could drill those out. And then the there's two size LED, there's 3mm and 5mm in here. You take the 3mm LEDs, you drill these ports out, and they'll fit right in these little camera ports. And then there'll be holes where the rubber tubing went in. You can see the hole there. There's one over here on the side. Those holes, what I did, I took the other 5mm LEDs, laid them in there sideways. I hot glued the wires down so they wouldn't move one by one, and then you take a piece of masking tape and you seal off on the outside. You kind of round it off nice, the masking tape, and then you'll angle this sucker. You know, lay it like you got your hole on the bottom with the tape here, set it up with something to hold it, and then just pour hot glue into that hole and kind of level it out. So what you'll end up with is a smooth, I don't know how easy it's going to be for you to see this, but it's relatively smooth, and it fills up those holes instead of just having the LEDs sitting in there. This is one of the practices I use. I suppose you could use epoxy or JD Weld, or there's probably a right way to do it. If you follow along, I do everything wrong here in Fuzz Lab. I'm a goof, don't know what I'm talking about. I use plumber's flux when I solder. So don't do what I do, but what I did, now the thing does this. So you can see there's 6 LEDs in the unit. I'll kill some of these lights here. Oops. Yeah, it's going to adjust either way, but and you can see that's a reflection going on behind me. So now I've got, it's a full-size R2D2 that instead of having those homosexual things that fly around, take your eye out, it's cool. It lights up. I got my own little light up R2D2. I mean, my initial thought was I was just gonna chop. Talks more than me. I was just going to chop the audio circuit out and mount the mini speaker under here, and then have a button somewhere, so if I get bored and I'm in Fuzz Lab and I need somebody to talk to, I can just fire off my R2 little audio unit. And then I'm looking at the chassis and I saw like how easy it would be to just go ahead and cut everything in, and I'm like, oh, where do I got it? Yeah, here I can have a little conversation with myself. Talk to him. He understood. So here's my Star Tours. I forget what they call this thing. There's a couple videos of it stock, what it does stock. I'll put that up. You can take a look at this abomination, what it looked like before I got to it and tore the shit out of it. But it's a lot cooler if you ask me. It doesn't have that thing that's going to spin around, lights up, makes its noises. For 99 cents, and I was able to enjoy myself for a full evening. It was a pretty basic, easy hack. I did look on eBay. They're kind of hard to find, but if you run into one of these things, don't not get it. They break because of the vibrations. The wire will crack in there. It's an easy fix for anybody to do. Even if you didn't have a soldering iron, you could fix it. And if you like that thing spinning around on the top, more power to you. I mean, I'm sure that's probably soothing for a kid that's on, a half ounce of blow every day, see the lights spinning around, calm you down, maybe you won't have a heart attack. So enjoy the next of the prequels that are coming out. I know Lucas wrote 3 other sequels or prequels or whatever you call them. They're going to be coming out, and enjoy the film. Stay tuned to Fuzz Lab. I got to have a couple other goofy noisemaker videos coming up, and then probably a reverb unit. Then I'll start on my amps. So there's going to be a lot of videos coming out hopefully soon. It takes a lot of time to do this stuff, so be patient. May the force be with you. Keep on hacking, and stay away from that Star Tours, whatever you do. It ain't good.